Hey, everybody, welcome. It is Friday morning. We are recapping episode 8 of season 48. It was another stellar episode, at least in my book. I liked it so much to talk about. I'm joined by my fabulous hosts, Brandon and Alex. Thank you guys for being here. And we have Mike joining us today. Brandon, I'll let you do the intro on Mike.
I will. So another, COVID was so crazy and weird, but one of the things it did do, like I talked about last week, is brought in all these online reality gaming shows. And in my opinion, one of the better hosts of these online gamings was the one and only who created, I think it's Succession, right? That was the name of it?
Yes. Yeah.
Succession, which if you haven't played, he's also created a real life Succession. And that is none other than Mike G. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thanks for that great introduction and plug for my game. And to be the best host, I don't know about that, but thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You are
I'm excited to be here.
A close fifth on my list. So you're welcome.
Appreciate that.
No I love problem. That. How long have you been a fan of the greatest show on the face of television?
Since I was 16 years old, season 1, Richard Hatch. Since the beginning.
Awesome. And has he always been the favorite of yours, or has that switched? How's it work?
Sometimes people make decisions in real life that makes you switch their favorites. So yes, unfortunately, Richard is no longer my favorite. But I've got lots of favorites. I mean, Suri is a go-to. I would say like new era. I think that Jam Jam has been one of my absolute favorite winners in New Era. He's just a blast. I've met him in real life. He's great. He's exactly what you expect him to be. Marianne, a very close second.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. He's going to give his opinion on this last episode, which Chrissy was voted out, or what we call here at Spill Immunity, bye week. So thank you so much for joining us here today. And if I have some dogs that you guys are hearing in the background, I'm about to sell them both. So if anybody wants a Shih Tzu Poodle and a Chihuahua, I know they're the top breeds of everybody's favorite. Please let me know. Bree, kick us off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we can see a new background. You've got all kinds of sporting goods and equipment. Maybe you're having a garage sale soon. Maybe, I don't know what's going on. Maybe you're prepping that video that you're submitting to Survivor. I don't know what's going on. You got everything going.
My dogs are way too loud. I had to switch rooms to the garage, which looks like an Applebee's. So that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at.
He's been segregated off into the garage. That's his new studio. We love it. So I loved this episode for a lot of reasons. And I think, I want to kick off with Mitch because Mitch, I like Mitch so much and I am rooting for him. But like Chrissy, I think he's a little misinformed on his effect on the game. I want your thoughts. I'm going to go to Alex first. Alex, what did you think about Mitch's the beginning of the show this week?
You can't go to me first. I need the refresher on the show. Don't you remember?
That's
okay,
true.
We're going to go to Brandon first. Brandon's going to give the refresher.
I'll take it. I was excited to hear you, Alex, because I'm sure there's going to be like an accent you're going to throw in there. And I had a big old bite of my mush. So another plug for mush. So here's the thing about Mitch. Mitch is the only one left on that when they did the swap. Cedric is gone. Mary's gone. Chrissy's gone. In that order. Like this has been a consecutive kick out of this swapped tribe of those four, which I think of the swap tribes, they were the least cohesive of the three. So it's really crazy this season that swapped addition of these tribes have really been more glued together than how the swap before the swap, the original set of stuff. So Mitch is now not only alone there, but he was the one pushing that Siga vote where everybody should stick together. And basically he's pushing it because it's the only alliance he has a chance of being in. So it's smart on his part. I think, like I said last week, I think unless he feels that, okay, now I need to make a lot of major moves, which is not what he should do right now in order to just say he has some kind of game. I think he needs to wait for that because it could be the last of that group to be kicked out if he tries too hard, like Chrissy, I think, did. I didn't think Chrissy had to go up in flames like she said she had to. There's still a little bit more time for people to make moves. So Mitch right now is in a place where I think he just needs to sit down and be quiet for at least one more vote to not rattle some feathers. If he's not seeing that his whole entire swap tribe just got kicked out, then he's not watching. So I think he has enough know-how and patience to do that. But I am scared for him as well, Brie. He
wants friends.
Right now.
He's looking for an alliance. He's looking for friends. He's going about it a little bit the wrong way. Like, I agree with you. I think he should have sat back and just been, I'm a vote. What should we do? I'm with you guys. Let me know what you want me to do. And just been that like number that people need. They're going to need his number. I don't think he's a threat to anyone, so he's a good one to keep around. Except for they think he's just this challenge beast. But I think we're all really good at one thing, and so it's like the poll, which we'll get into that, but the big guys were out first. So I think that everybody has their special things that they do. So I don't think he's that much of a challenge beast when it comes to that. So I think you keep him around. But Mike, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch is kind of giving me Jake vibe. He's kind of playing the game. He's trying to play the game. He's trying to make friends. He's doing the alliance thing, but it's never working out for him. And so I'm a little nervous for him moving forward, because is he going to be kind of a non-entity and just like a vote for the other packs that are kind of being created, and they're pulling him in, and then he kind of makes his way to the end, but it's kind of more of like a stumble into the end rather than, a committed strategy.
Yeah. Alex, do you have thoughts?
Very deep thoughts. We said this last time, that you have this really strong group of David and Eva and Joe, and now Mary. I don't know how Mary got into the Strong Guys Alliance. Can we just stop being so prejudiced against the Strong Guys? What's up with all the hate on the Strong Guys?
We get that.
Yes. Right? Like, what? Okay, that was unbelievable. That was pretty unbelievable.
But I love it.
I was working that one up. I was building that one up. Now Mary's in the Strong Guys Alliance. Okay, that's weird. And Shaheen. So we were saying last time, and we're kind of jumping ahead here. Where are we going to align the misfits, right? Where are we going to align the not strong guys and get the Chrissy and the Camilla and the Kyle but I guess, Mary's outside of that now. And, so it's not looking good for Mitch. I don't think there's a path forward for any of them. I think it's the strong guys game. He's on the outs and he's just going to try to be that number, but I can't see who he's going to align with or how that's going to happen. And I don't see there being some big twist or some immunity idols, some jungle rat type stuff that's going to be able to happen if you watch Australian Survivor. So it's looking like Mitch is dead in the water, and he's just going to be a number. He's going to be dragged. He's probably going to be next voted out if it's not going to be Camilla. So not looking good for them.
Where we are in this game is either you tackle that alliance, that big boy alliance, or you tackle the person that's about to tackle the big boy alliance, because you don't want a person to be the one. Like I said, if Kyle and Joe, whoever takes those guys home, I'm still on it, is going to be the one who wins this game. But everybody doesn't want that person to win the game. So Star, that's what she should be doing. Mitch, that's what she should be, or that's what he should be doing. Camilla, maybe. I think she has a little bit more leeway. Mary should be doing that.
Right.
So I think, Alex, you're exactly right that Mitch, I don't see the path because they're going to stop him in his tracks. Mary, same reason. I mean, she's only there because she's a pawn of David's as of right now, and how they form that relationship quickly is beyond me. I don't think Mary had anyone else to go to type thing situation. I do think that Camilla does have a chance to win this game, who is not a member of the Strong Guy Alliance, and we can talk about more of her game a little bit later. But I agree, all except for Camilla. It's going to be a strong player this season, I think, that wins the game.
I'm not so sure about that, Brandon. I'm reading the comments, and I want to get, the cracks are showing, and Brandon is right. The cracks are showing. Kyle, not 100% on board, has his own He's got his own game that he's playing, and he's working with Camilla. I think that's a crack. Joe definitely showing there's cracks and not agreeing. He wanted to go against David in this vote. He didn't understand, and he didn't like seeing the way David, he doesn't like seeing the way David and Mary are connecting so closely. Yes.
Just real quick, I don't think we're saying that the Strong Guys Alliance is going to be the top 5 or 6. That's not what's being said. I think what's being said is that we don't see who's going to win that's not in the Strong Guys Alliance. Besides, I think.
That's right.
So just
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just, Mitch pulling this out, or Star moving ahead, or even Camilla at this point. I'm looking at Camilla's game like, I don't think she's going to be able to pull ahead. And, I had some faith in Kyle, but his freak out session when, there was a little bit of stress on him, he totally freaked out and wasn't able to keep it composed. Camilla's so cool and calm under pressure. And then Kyle, he was just totally frantic. So it's not looking like Kyle. It is looking like, a David or a Joe or a Eva, right? Or a Shaheen. They seem to be in the best position, the most flexible, and all these, side people. It's going to be really hard for them to, go to the end of the game and say, hey, I had any agency in, in getting myself here, because the strong guys they're so strong.
Yeah, I'm going to give Brennan props saying it won't last in the tribal council. You heard it here first. So, Brennan, I'm giving you those props right now. Just getting that out there because he wants it on the record. So I'm just
on the record
it there. It's on the record.
I could see them getting out. I guess Shaheen, but it seems like David and Joe are pretty tight, and then you have Ava, and right there, those 4 right there. I mean, that's kind of it.
Michael, you're doing a lot of faces, almost a little bit more than Chrissy's faces right now. So
yeah,
I'm going to give it to you.
I'm very well known for my facial reactions. I agree that I think the alliance is dead. I think that there's a lot of chances for people to kind of take shots at each other right now, because you've got David has Mary, you've got Shaheen has Camilla, and then Kyle kind of in the mix of that. I think there's a lot of different factions that have been created from a lot of what Chrissy was just kind of like splurting out. And you've got the Eva Joe, like people are not going to want to keep that around very long. So the idea of these little factions within the bigger alliance, I think, is actually going to be the detriment of that alliance. Yeah. I think Mary and Camilla are actually in a great position to make some moves and potentially gain some agency.
Yeah, I mean, let's give it credit that it's lasted longer than the California Girls Alliance. First,
Poor Thomas. Shout out to Thomas.
Second, the bottom 3 of this top 6, as in every single season of Survivor, need for this to break up sometime. But they need to use the Strong Persons Alliance, which they have, to get where they are right now. Right now, yes, is the Strong Guy Alliance dead? It's not going to last. It's not going to be 6. It was never going to be 6 going into this. The thing is, right now, I think the reason why Kyle and Camilla have leverage just as much as Joe and Ava, I think that's the same exact group almost, is because David is showing signs that he is not to be trusted, but he's going to be too frantic and we got to do what I want to do. And it's going to be the reason Mary and him go home. That's what's going to happen there. First, Mary a little bit later. And then Kyle needs that because he ain't going to win out the Strong 6. He's going to be out. So he needs this alliance to break up here pretty soon. And so does, Star still has a chance too. She's kind of very little, but she's with Joe and Ava and kind of in that 3, which is kind of crazy. So I think you have Joe, Ava, and Star kind of together, even though Star's on the out, kind of not as strong. And then you have Shaheen, Kyle, and Camilla, because I think the reason why Kyle and Camilla still have a chance at this, and a pretty big one, is because they're hiding the fact that they are the strong 2 and pretending that Shaheen is the number 2 of Camilla, which is going to be, I think it's going to work out to their favor at the end of this game.
I agree. I like this. I wanted to get to Johanna's question. Who else was cringing watching Kyle's awkward freak out when Camilla's name was brought up? I noticed it, and I was worried about, it made me worry about Kyle. Like, he did need to chill.
Because Camilla needs to be part of the game for him to win. If she's out, he doesn't win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason that I say that the strong guys aren't breaking up is they all voted together to get Kirsty out. They all
Yeah,
voted
well,
together. There wasn't a
but
breakup of
Christy
the
was being
alliance.
so loud about how she wanted to break them up.
But
Everybody
they
knew
didn't
she was going
change
after
that at the tribal, though. That was decided before the
True.
tribal because there was no whispering.
True.
There was no, hey, let's change our vote. It was decided beforehand. Joe made the, Johanna says that Joe is like the godfather. He just sits back, he says, they're taking shots at me. We have to get him out. And then they're all, all the focus is around Joe. And so Joe seems to be the guy that everybody respects and go to. And like you said, he's got the star to pull in Ava. You could see Camilla and Kyle. Maybe they go to Joe and they ask, we need you to kiss David on the cheek. We need you to deal with David, and then he deals with it. Right. We'll see. I don't know. But that, I don't think Joe is going to turn on David, because David was coming at Joe in the preview for the next episode and was saying, you went back on your word. You didn't tell the truth, right? And Joe's going to be, no, I'm an honest guy. I'm a stand-up guy, David. We're going to work together. I'm being honest, right? I don't know. I don't see Joe. I think that's the key here. Are Joe and David going to turn on each other? I don't think they are. I don't think Joe's got that in him. Personally, I don't know. Maybe he does. If he does, he could win.
What makes it difficult is Ava, because Ava likes David too. So I think Joe kind of is watching that relationship as well, not worried about that relationship, but is wanting to be concerned with who David is because Ava enjoys David. So that's the only tie I think that's keeping them together. That's bigger than milk for them to.
Which is the name of the tribe. I think there's a lot of tension that's starting to grow. I think, we saw about how people were picked, like who was pairing up with who, what it was telling everybody, what they were thinking. I see, Joe's side of things and how he's watching people. I really think that the reason that Joe and David will not keep moving forward together will be because of Mary. It will, I think the way he was so emphatic about what Mary wants, and I have a quote from him, and he said, it helps Mary feel better if we vote Camilla. And that is not strategy. That, like, you know what I mean? He is saying, I want her to feel good. And he said that when they were at the reward together. So I think those little things, and I think they are picking up on these things. I think that is very telling, that if push came to shove and it was Joe or Mary that David had to vote for, he would vote to get rid of Joe over Mary, because he's proving that by the way he's just jumping on what she's fringe, right? She is not the core. He is like, I want her to feel better. And he said it right in front of her. So it wasn't like he was placating somebody, like to say to the guys, oh, I'm just doing that because I want her to feel better and trust us. No. He said that in front of everyone while Mary was sitting there. And he said, I want her to feel better. Those little tells that people say, I think are very, very important. Mike, you're shaking your head. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, because we've got these different pairs, right? We've got Mary and David. We've got Shaheen and Camilla. We've got Kyle and Camilla, which is the real pair. We've got Ava and Joe. And I think it's interesting to me, like looking at it from a perspective of like, we've got the strong guy alliance, and each one of them has like a really strong strategic woman that's kind of their pair and their person, right? And so my hope is that these strategic women will somehow figure out how to work together to then kind of like, I don't know, usurp the power. But I don't see that happening based on the narrative.
It's what they need to do.
That's what they need to do, right?
None of the women, I don't think, have that plan B like these guys do. David, whether she or a plan number 2, I don't even know if the strong guy is everybody's plan 1, but I think that David has Mary because he needs something else to go off of, something else to get him there. If the strong guy alliance, which has never worked before, it's still a thing, but he needs that somebody else, because she's not on that strong guy alliance unless it's just the +1 aspect that he mentioned.
Well, are Joe and David going to flip on each other because they're both shields for each other? That's why David and Joe wouldn't flip on each other, is because if they get one strong guy out, well, now the other strong guy is getting out, right? So that's one of the reasons why they both need to protect each other. And what they were all saying through the game is David says, what are we, just pieces of meat? We're just big, strong guys. And we get chucked aside. Like, it's like, okay. But like, that's why they're going to keep them in, is because like Joe and David, they gotta protect each other. Strong guys got to stick together.
Yeah. But David's not doing himself any favors. Like this idea of like controlling the alliance, I think is going to be his downfall, because these other strong men are going to be like, I don't want you telling me what to do. So I think that's going to be David's ultimate downfall.
Kyle's when he first heard about Camilla being in trouble, yes, that was very hard to watch. But I think what he did was capitalize by having those side conversations with people later, saying, hey, like, you know, how he acted was a little much. And if you can capitalize off a conversation that's in a group of people and go individually afterwards, one-on-one, to be like, hey, what do you think of that? Because I thought that was kind of crazy. I think Kyle had every right to be like, now why are you including Mary? Just as much as David was kind of sussing him out and saying, hey, why are you including seemingly Camilla in this as well? So that's going to be interesting to see. And because of that, I think that's why Shaheen is a little bit more safe, because he has no one sussing him out except for the whole Camilla thing. But now it's kind of moving over to Kyle a little bit as that is seen a little bit more in the light by David. But Joe's still not. I don't think Joe's necessarily buying that.
Joe was ready to switch to, like, you know, David's pushing Camilla, and Joe was like, but I still think Chrissy's the smarter move. Like, he's questioning already the decisions that David is making. I like what Max said here. You know, Kyle can play his freak out, but I think with the way Chrissy was at Tribal, we saw they all voted for Chrissy. Nobody knows that they were going in there and saying, we're not listening to David, we're going to vote Chrissy anyway. We didn't, there's none of that happened. So even though we know that they were all going to be like, David, sorry, that they don't know that. David doesn't know that. Mary doesn't know that.
And I hope Mitch watched every bit of that, because the reason why Chrissy went home is because of how she tried to withstand that. I don't think the Strong Person Alliance really wants, or like the people who are working on a second tandem, so like the Kyle, the Shaheen, maybe even the Joe, they don't necessarily want to vote out players like Mitch yet. They kind of want to start working on that. But if people keep on blowing up like Chrissy did, then they're like, okay, well, I guess we keep this alliance one more time. I guess this is going to work. It has nothing to do with us being strategic. It has everything to do with, well, you guys are blowing up your games left and right. So Mitch needs to stay quiet, because the blow up thing is not working for anybody.
Yep. I got to give a big shout out to Daryl. Welcome, Daryl. Great to have you in the chat this morning. We've got a lot of people watching, and we appreciate all of you. Hop in the chat and let us know what you guys think. So Daryl says, if David doesn't win immunity, I think he will go. If David does win immunity, I think Mary will go. I'd love to get everyone's thoughts on that. Mike, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I think David is in a precarious situation. I think he is kind of being seen as the leader of this Strong Person Alliance because he's the most vocal. He's also been very kind of clear on like his clocking of Kyle and the connection with Camilla. So David is in trouble. I think that David could easily be a target in this next episode. I disagree with the Mary part. I think that Mary is in a position to potentially, she's a player. She's going to play this game. And I don't see her necessarily blowing her game up the way Chrissy did. I see her making the connections that she needs to do to be able to last one more round. She's done it before. I think she can do it again. I think that David is in trouble. I don't necessarily agree that Mary is.
Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't see Mary getting in trouble or being, I see more like Star kind of hanging out there. I know she has a connection with Joe and Ava, but it seems like she's just not included in a lot of conversations. And she'd be one that'd say, okay, if Mitch is safe, maybe we should go Star. I do think that Camilla's in a lot of danger too. And I think Kyle sees the writing on the wall where it's like, there's only so much he can do to save her. I mean, they need to like have an idol. They need to like really do something to switch it and get one of the strong people out, one of the strong guys. So I just can't see it changing unless Kyle and Camilla can really convince Joe, but then you're dealing with Ava too, right? She's not somebody who's maybe super malleable and wants to change it up and wants to create huge kind of changing alliances and things switching all the time. And so that might drive Joe to say, you know what, we're going to stay with David. We're going to stay with Mary. We're going to stay with something that's stable. And it's a good thing. We're going to continue to go forward with the Shaheen. And they could just pick Mitch off, pick Star off, pick Camilla off, probably then pick Kyle off because he's been proven disloyal, and then pick Shaheen off. And then you got your 4.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I perceive it going is you look at Ava, right? She's not going to want to say, yeah, let's go with Kyle and let's go with a bunch of unknowns. And Joe said, I will work with Ava even if it hurts my game.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to change it up. Who's Kyle and Camilla to her? Who's she likes Star, okay, but Mitch, no, right? So I don't know. That I don't know if we're factoring in the Ava alliance with Joe and how kind of stuck he is with that.
Yep.
Could he ever turn on Ava? I don't think so. They're super tight.
Well, this season has been about control for a lot of it. You know, we had Say, who basically did all the things she did, was only able to stay in the game because she had a huge control on people and didn't want them. Cedric talked a little bit less to people because, Say, the only reason Bianca even left the game is because for a 3-second look, Cedric was able to communicate to somebody that Bianca needs to go. If she wouldn't have stopped that, this game would be completely different. But third, this next part is, these underlings, these not as strong people compared to the strong tribe, they can't join together because they have these one-off relationships with members of the strong side, which say, hey, like I'm really aligned this. I know the strong thing won't last too long, but I can't really talk to you guys because my strong guy is still represented. So I think as soon as the strong guy line starts to die, I think there goes their partner with them. So I do see Mary being in some sort of trouble a little bit later if David goes, because I don't see what branch she's holding on to next. What a great season. This
episode to me was fascinating. Yeah. That's why I said I like this. So we didn't have the Shaheen entertaining us. We had a little bit of it at the challenge, tiny little bit on stuff, but we didn't have that, the funny character that I love Shaheen. And keep him around. I'm fine with him staying. I think he's going to hopefully last for a while. But I love this interplay between so many people. Brandon, you're right. So we've got David that has Mary. We have Shaheen and Kyle who both think they have Camilla, right? Because they're like, Kyle's like the real one in, and Shaheen just thinks he is. But the two that are within the alliance together are Joe and Ava. But we saw in this episode, and I want to get to this. We have so many comments, and I want to get through all these. I did notice, Brennan, that Ava didn't back Joe up. And I think that's an interesting point. I really like that you mentioned that. But I want to talk a little bit about, I want to shift. I want to go to what did we think about production manipulation in this game? And if you know what I'm talking about, you don't. You're looking at me.
Oh,
so
okay.
Go ahead, Brandon.
The tortilla chip thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that clip on the Tribe Has Spoken Part 2 that they had said, hey, they put that right in the bowl where they had Ava sit exactly where that bowl was.
Yep.
However, going back and watching it, you can see that on the note it said because you won the challenge. So that's why their name tag and the tortilla bowl was right there. That was her getting a special award that wasn't in front of anybody else because she won the challenge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that still to me was such for me, that's manipulation. I want to. So what? She won the challenge. She's immune now. She got an immunity necklace. Yay for you. Like, that's your bonus. That's what brings you there. Like, don't give them even more stuff. I just feel like we're really like everyone backstage, makeup artists, not that they have any, production, all the camera crew, they're all going, we love Ava. We just want to see her. She's doing so great that let's just give her everything. I mean, I just felt like it was like your gift. I don't like it. it. Mike, you're like, "Urgh." Go ahead.
I
Mike.
agree. I agree with you on one end, and I disagree with you on the other. I think
Okay.
that the idea of somebody getting an extra advantage after already getting immunity, I think is kind of a little annoying. Like, you already won immunity, you're already safe this round. Why do you get an extra clue and an extra something, right? Whatever this is, which we'll find out next episode. But I do also agree that, like, Ava, I think it's hard to talk through this because Ava is a fan favorite, and I think Ava is clearly somebody that people are going to want to root for. I think production is rooting for her. I think the dilemma is that it takes away from her game by saying those things, right? I think that Ava's game is really strong right now, and I feel like if we give a narrative of like, oh, like production is helping her along, I think it takes away from the strength that she's bringing to the game. So that's kind of where I disagree with it.
No, yeah, and I hear what you're saying, and I don't want to take anything. I don't think Ava needs it, to be honest with you.
Right.
I honestly don't think she needs to get any extra bonuses or surprises or, like these extra little things. And we don't even know what this, like, it could be something not so great. I as they pulled up in the boat to do the, okay, y'all lost, we're gonna make you go play a game and you could lose your vote. I just want one of those times when they pull up and it's like it's a picnic. That's a buffet. And they're like, oh, by the way, here you go. Have some food anyway, because I don't know. That was just me. I was just like, these people are starving. Can we just, and Mitch hasn't eaten anything this whole season. Can we please just like throw some sandwiches or fight for sandwiches? Maybe that's the game. Like you get to eat. I don't know. That was just me. But yeah, I don't think Ava needs it. I think she's doing such a great job. And I think, the thing that got me the most too on this was she's like, they all know I have an idol. I'm going to stick this. This is just for me. Smart, smart, smart. She is a smart game player. She is tough. She is strong. She got the hockey legs. She already told us. And we've seen her play hockey. I've seen things because she's from the Twin City area. She plays. We are all about hockey up here. And so it's great to see her doing so well. But I agree. I don't think she needs it. I don't want to take away from her game. I'm just a little pissed at production for doing that. That's I don't think you need to. Why did you do that? Go ahead, Brandon.
What happens with the narrative if somebody sees her find the idol and put that in her pants? Then she's number one target. So I am going to be in the minority, I think, and I'm okay with this. I'm in the garage now. I've been kicked to the garage. I'm okay being the minority. I think that if she finds it and she tries to hide it and doesn't get away with that, then you want immunity, but now you're screwed because now people know you just tried to hide something and you have the immunity idol. So I think the whole entire story changes had she not did an excellent job hiding it and also deciding to not tell anybody, including Joe, that she has something extra. So I'm going to disagree, and I don't think that this was an extra production. Let's manipulate the game, even though they've done that before, I think.
Well, we also don't know it's an idol, right? Like, we don't know for sure that this is an idol. It says advantage or something along those lines, right? Mm-hmm. So it's something that she's going to get, but we don't know what it is. I'm wondering if it's a game mechanic, like if it's something that she's going to have to decide or do to like affect the game. And I think that would be really interesting.
Alex?
Well, I think the hidden immunity idols, well, I guess it's not a hidden. I mean, it is a hidden immunity idol. I think they should be hidden at camp because the goal of the hidden immunity idol, or like kind of the logic behind it, is the strong people shouldn't be receiving it. It's really the people at the bottom who can find it to really mix up the game, right? So Bree's point of like, you already won, you already have an advantage, and now you get an additional advantage, which is another immunity idol. It's like, okay, well, how many advantages, do the people who are doing well need, right? And traditionally, it's like the hidden immunity idol is at camp, and they've kind of changed it where you're finding these clues at different places, or I don't know. So I didn't notice the manipulation or whatever that was, but I would prefer that they were at camp and you lose, you go back to camp and you have the chance to look for it and, change the game. And, I do kind of see where it could be possible next episode where you're saying Shaheen is turning against David, right? Because now Shaheen's like, wait, you have married David, you know, like, so that's not good. So you have Camilla, Kyle, Shaheen, Mitch, and Star, and that's the only way to upset the other 4. So I could see that. But what do we have going on? We have so many comments today.
I know, I can't keep up.
right?
I'm trying to get them all up there, and I'm not reading them out,
Yeah.
and I should be, but there's so many good ones. Daryl was even making a joke here. I got to put this one back up. There's more chance of David hating chocolate milk than Joe turning on Ava. So, yeah, I like that. Thank you, Daryl, for that. That made me laugh. There's so much great stuff going on in the chat. I do want to get to not the challenge, but you're going to lose a vote competition that they did.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that will have a huge impact. Camilla really made an enemy at that point with Star.
Did she notice that Mitch and her? To me, that said, okay, wow, Mitch and Camilla are working together. Didn't seem like Star kind of knew that. And it didn't.
I don't think
Star doesn't
Mitch
seem very
into it.
vindictive. I mean, she seems super easygoing, super kind of relaxed. I don't know. You haven't really heard a lot from Star as far as like really at all. Really. Like, but go ahead, Brandon.
I really want to play that game just to see how much easier it is for the person that's right in front of the person that you're trying to get out. How easy it is for her to look like the bad guy compared to everybody else. Because I almost think that Camilla got treated a little unfairly because she's the one that's always going to be stiffen Star. Like there's no other way around it. She doesn't want to lose her vote. So regardless of any other pairing she has or teammate in this challenge she has, it's always going to be her looking bad in front of Star. They don't have an alliance anyways. I don't think Star is all that revengeful to do anything about what had happened. It didn't solidify anything. I think it helped Mitch out to be like, okay, like maybe I do have a Camilla, which would be great. But I think Camilla was looked at very unfairly in that challenge for being the bad guy who sent Star without a vote.
Mike, what do you think?
I think it just allows Camilla to have a little bit more of a narrative of like, here I am playing the game again. And I think that's what's really fun about Camilla is that she is playing the game, but from the bottom. What I will say too is it solidifies that 3. Mitch, Camilla, and Kyle all got to work together again to do something in the game. And I think that's also apparent when Mitch votes for Chrissy. I think that Mitch is more connected with Kyle and Chrissy than we're really seeing in the edit. And I think that's that little moment that kind of proves that.
Yeah, I will say, you know, I've watched it twice, and Camilla did have the choice of taking 1 ball or 2 balls, and if she had taken 1, then that red ball would have been passed on to Shaheen. But she took 2, which definitely put it in Stars. And she said at the end, and she did that 2 times. She intentionally took 2 balls, which did put it into Stars. She could have been like, I'm going to give Star 1 and I'm going to give Shaheen 1, right? Because I don't have to take 2. If I take 1, then Star takes gray 1, and then Shaheen, you're stuck with it. Sorry, man. I had to take a ball. It was no pressure.
Yeah.
I could have sailed through that. Wouldn't have had any blood on my hands. Wouldn't have had anything going wrong. But she intentionally took it 2 times on Star.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I think that's the best gameplay if you're going to not lose your vote. You have to play that way. I would be interested to see if like Mitch was right behind her and then it was Star, how that would have looked or appeared. But you're trying just to keep a vote because that's very important. I'm going to try to end that contest as soon as humanly possible, regardless of who is right next to me. And hopefully they understand.
And Star missed a great opportunity where she could have taken 2 balls and given Shaheen a red ball right in the beginning. And instead she takes 1 and it ends up on Mitch. So I think that having targeted Shaheen early on, I think would have benefited Star a little bit more because Shaheen ends up getting a ball anyway.
Yeah.
So I think Star kind of messed up, but I don't think she realized it. And I don't think she was really aware of like the dynamics of what was going on. And it's nothing against her. I think she just was like, I'm just going to take 1 ball and not screw over the person next to me.
Well, and Star's 95% relational, 5% gameplay anyways. I mean, giving your idol away to somebody, including everybody and helping you out. Like, I think she's almost done with the game portion that she's just like, yeah, I'm going to do whatever. I like these people. Maybe that's enough. Hopefully, yeah, I think that was very much classic Star on that.
Mhm.
I think she had no
Camilla-
clue on Mitch. I don't think she was even paying attention that Mitch was any part of the equation whatsoever. All she saw was Camilla keeps handing me these red balls. I think that's all she saw. She wasn't thinking about how like they were, you know, figuring out and timing it right and all that stuff. All she saw was Camilla had a choice and she hit me twice. And I think that's all Star saw. So
Camilla must have some like telepathic powers because she's like the queen of telling people instructions with no words. Kyle at first, and now Mitch, and she just can telepathically communicate with people.
Some people have that look, man. Like
right.
that.
She's like,
yeah.
Like I dated a girl that had that look, and I knew. And then there's times when like we were about to break up, I was like, she didn't have to tell me. I was like, oh, okay. And then
I'll go to the garage. She said, I'll go to the garage. Don't worry.
And hence the garage. Yes.
Yes, and there you are.
Yep.
All right. Well, I want to move us along to Tribal. We see all this buildup in the background. There's all these different whispers of Camilla and Chrissy and Camilla, and where should we go and who should we play out? And then we get to Tribal, and we see Chrissy kind of tank her own game. What are your feelings on someone that's that outspoken? Because she really wasn't like targeting a specific person, but she was definitely calling people, like the group of them, out and having a lot to say. I want feedback on that. What are you guys thinking about that? Mike, I'm going to go to you first.
Yeah, I think Chrissy was aching to play the game. I think Chrissy knew she was on the bottom. I think Chrissy knew that she needed to make a big move. I don't think she was afraid of tribal council, which a lot of people are afraid of tribal council. They don't speak their minds. They don't say what's going on in their game for fear of what just happened to Chrissy, right? But I think that ultimately her decision to do that, I think, was her only real shot to make the move and get people to like kind of come together. And so did Chrissy blow up her game? Yes, but like, what other options did Chrissy have? Just sit there like a bump on a log? I think that again, she also revealed a lot of things about the big strong alliance and all of this, and they reacted to her at that tribal council. And I think that's also something that she can kind of walk away with and say, well, you know, I did my best to blow it up, and I think I may have done that.
Brandon?
Yes. All that. As Daryl said, Chrissy's game was over episode 1. We called it during the draft, saying
we didn't even pick her.
We'll pick and say over you because you just don't have that piece. You're probably a great person. Joe, I think during his vote, during when he voted Chrissy off, he did this number, which you cannot. The only time she was playing was during tribal council. That's not when you decide to blow up people's games and everything else. It's never worked. She doesn't have any control on anything. I don't know what she was thinking on that. You are right. She can't just be a bump on a log, but you can play the game in other ways before coming to tribal council. And I think she was just way too open a lot of the time.
I have to say, I think she was tanking her. I think she tanked her game. I don't think she was going out swinging. But I'll get to that in a minute. Alex, what did you think about Chrissy's move at Tribal?
Yeah, you just don't see like a lot of strategy or building the numbers or building a consensus, like get up and like go talk to the people that you need to flip, right? Go whisper in their ear, hey, me, like you four, come over here, right? I don't think they would like that because, the strong guys would be like, probably come and beat them up, right? Or like, get out of there, like break that up, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like you don't see them trying to build the numbers against the people who have the numbers. There's no like, we need to build a consensus. We need to bring this person in and this person. You don't even maybe they're cutting that out, right? But I think they're just kind of like, we need to flip. People need to flip. Who's that going to be, right? And there's no like, okay, it's going to be you, and you. We're going to work together to get this person out. There's just like, this needs to end. And, there's nobody really building that, finding the right numbers and finding the right people for it. So that was Chrissy's kind of plea is like, will somebody do something? But she
Right.
doesn't know. She's not identifying the people who need to do it, which is the problem.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, and
right.
Chrissy made a comment about how she thought her game was a lot better than what she saw on TV. And she's like, "Oh wow, like I thought I had a pretty good game going and I did not. I was mistaken because we always have the bird's eye view of everybody and what they're
right.
doing
Yeah.
or what production will show us, and so we obviously can look and see. We knew Chrissy didn't have much of a game, but I like what Daryl said. This is exactly what I was thinking. If she knew she was going into tribal council and at the bottom and she was going to be the one gone, why
Yeah.
did she not play her shot in the dark? You
Good
have
point,
that. What happened?
Mhm.
Yep. That's the thing that the people at the bottom, that's like the immunity. It's like, that's the one thing that can change up this game significantly. Outside of that, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this is going to turn around. Right. So people need to play. Chrissy need to play her. That's a good point, Daryl. Need to play her shot in the dark.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think with a shot in the dark, I mean, I say this now, and Rachel just won the game because she had her shot in the dark hit, right? Didn't she get marked? No. She never did shot in the dark, did she? She used it as a ploy to find out. That's what happened. So I can't say this. Shot in the dark has never won anybody the game. It's allowed us fans to be excited for one more, like, oh dang, it happened. But it's kind of like a long shot. If you're playing it, you already don't have a chance. Especially if the whole tribe is there. It's not one of those broken down tribes. That's when you play a shot in the dark, as if it's like a broken two separate tribes at one time and your alliance on the other side. That's a great time to play a shot in the dark. With everybody still in the game and you're already playing shots in the dark, it's your only chance. I get that. But I would rather try to wordsmith my way to whatever than to play that shot in the dark, because I mean, we knew she wasn't going to win.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if Mary wins, then she'll be the first successful person to use the shot in the dark and then win. Right?
Yes. And she did so not in the merged tribe. I think there's a huge difference playing it with a separate group of people, not everybody, compared to when you play it post merge.
Well, I think if she used it and then got a person out like David, right, that really would have mixed things up so much that you could have seen a change in the status quo. But you know, she didn't. I'm curious. Maybe she wasn't thinking in that strategic. You know, that needs to be asked to Chrissy. Why didn't you?
Yeah.
I think it's probably like, I just didn't think of that. I think that's probably.
I forgot I had it. Michael,
what's the shot in the dark? I've never.
Charity forgot she had it. It's just she didn't play it. That's right.
Yeah.
I think shot in the dark is just kind of an entity of the game that is a luck-based piece that, like, you kind of Hail Mary it. And like, if you really do feel like you're in trouble, you play it. But again, I agree with Brandon where it's like, you know, okay, you last two more tribals at a merge. So I don't know if it's really a beneficial thing to do, because you lose your vote. You don't really get any sort of, you know, say in what happens after you've saved yourself. You know, that's obvious with Caleb, right? Like the worst possible person to have gone for Caleb goes, even though he survived, he goes next. So I don't know if it really would have benefited her.
Yeah. Going back to what Brennan said just a comment ago, I'm going to put on the screen, poof, maybe. Poof, where'd it go? Where's the Brennan comment? There it is. So my magic's just not working. Yes, but it wasn't because of what the conclusion was of the dice. She made that advantage into something more than just the advantage, which is how you win this game. And Rachel had a great way of not only being social, but kind of taking situations and finding, okay, I could do this, or I could do this. And that's what Rachel did really well. That's how winners win. And I think Camilla has that in her. I do think that Camilla has that piece that Rachel has enough to win this game. And I think Shaheen does too. I really want Shaheen to play this game sometime soon, because I think he's going to be I could see him being the one that breaks everything open and he's just like controlling the game at the very end. But that's why I think Camilla has a better chance than him, because Camilla has him fooled that he's number 2. So so good.
There's so much left to play. There's so many. Yeah, we got a lot of game to play. You know, I do think using the shot in the dark can be really effective. It doesn't necessarily mean your game is over. We have seen many times when, you know, how things shift day by day, minute by minute, and getting through a vote, and then all of a sudden somebody else does something stupid and everybody goes in that direction and you have a chance. I don't think that it's a death sentence, right? I don't think it's like saying, hey, I used my shot in the dark because I'm at the bottom and I'm still going to be gone next week. You can find an idol. You can win immunity. You can shift things. Somebody can do something stupid. They could hit an hourglass. There's literally so many different things that can happen that you
No more
just
hourglasses.
no more. I know, no more hourglasses. But like things can happen, and I just feel like every minute extra you get in this game can be used to your advantage. Never leave anything on the table. Always make sure you've used every last ounce of everything. And like Chrissy said, Daryl said in an interview that Chrissy wasn't even thinking about the shot in the dark. So that's telling, actually, because it says, either she wasn't aware or she doesn't have the mastery of the game that I think everyone else would have. I know Mary would have thought of it. I know Camilla would have thought of it. I think, with Camilla's getting name thrown out there without anything in her pockets, the only thing she had is a shot in the dark. I think Camilla probably would have played it had, there not been enough swing with Chrissy just blowing up at Tribal. I think that she kind of went, okay, it's kind of a done deal on Chrissy now. So I'm not going to play my shot in the dark. But I think, because that would have messed things up down the road for her.
And that's two people now that did not know or did not think about their shot in the dark. What would be curious to me is I would think that production wants to push that more. So I'm surprised if for those pro production pushers out there, the triple Ps, that Jeff would be asking question, are we going to see a shot in the dark play tonight? Or like some kind of Jeff question besides Club Condo which is still trying to figure out where that is, to try to figure out, are they like, if he says it during like an Ava tribal where she's about to go home, then I'm on your bus. I will drive the bus that they're pro Ava. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens. But yeah.
Well, we do have, we have the twist that the secret, the twig that was in her chip bowl. We don't know what that's going to be. She's going to find that out the next evening as she, they're doing so much every single night. I don't know how she's going to have time for that, but we can't wait to see what happens with that. But this week, again, we are starting to talk about season 50, and we got to make some more decisions on how season 50 will go. And the one that I would love for you guys to answer is, do you want more twists or do you not? Brandon, you're first.
I don't want any twists because it's the returner season. That's the reason I don't want them, because if we put the right people on there, you don't need twists. If we don't put the right people on, then you need some twists. The reason why twists are good for new seasons, it helps me be like, oh, he's the guy that played that, or she's the girl that played this. So those players that typically would not be recognized otherwise. But since these are all returners, I want minimal twist.
Okay, Mike, what do you think?
So I'm struggling with the choices. I think that it's very black and white, like no twists or all these twists. I want something kind of in the middle. I want something that's like, a little bit twisty or something kind of brand new to the game to like throw these returning players kind of a loop a little bit, right? But no twists seems a little too straightforward, but all the twists that they keep kind of throwing into seasons, I think is just too much. But that's me.
There you go. I agree with you on a lot of that, though. I want the middle of the road. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, you saw that no twist won. They showed that on social media that it was 58% said no twist. We voted I voted twist because I thought, okay, if it's the choice between no twist or some twist, I'd like a little bit. But I'm like with Mike, it's like, can there be a middle ground? I think when it gets absurd and you go to the island and it gets a little bit insane. They're going to the island every day. After every single tribal, somebody's going and they're losing their vote. I don't like when they lose their vote, as much, or when they split the tribes and then one person on each tribe loses their vote. We always joke, we say, halfway through the game, they're just like, bring in a whole group, no new group of people, bring in the moms. All the moms come in now. It's like, okay, no, we're not. We don't need to change it up that much.
Yeah, define what twist and how many. Like hourglass, no more. Just that alone.
Or like Australian Survivor, they'll be like, you're not getting voted off of the tribe. You're going to the opposite tribe for 2 days, and then you're going to have the option to betray your tribe or steal all the other tribe's supplies and join them again. It's like, okay, this is great. Like, what show are we watching?
And your mom is going to be on.
And your mom is going to join your tribe.
In 9 days.
What? For 4 days, your mom is going to join you. And you're going to be tied to her. Your legs are going to be tied together. And you're like, okay, what?
So in the Jeff Probst mindset, the question was no twist or twist. And right now the definition, that what they're asking for is, can we throw a whole bunch of twists in? Like, that's what the question is. So because that's what the real question is, knowing Survivor, it's a no twist answer. I think if you put middle of the line twist or some twist, I think 100% of people would have said, give me a couple twists. But that's definitely not what Survivor is asking us. Jeff is like, I have 20 more ideas I've been wanting to use for years. Got the moms thing that Alex mentioned. This is the Alex Hit special. The moms are coming on. Like, just tell me, guys. Just tell me to hit go. And so that's why I think most people said no twist, because they know Jeff Probst's definition of twist is hourglasses and moms.
We came together and we vetoed Jeff. That's what we did on that one.
That's what
yes. Happened. Yeah, I like that, Mike. 100%. Daryl's in agreement. I don't want to see too many twists. I'd rather see returning players play a more social game than a twisty game. I think that's what we all really want to see. Anytime you have returning players, the outwit has to be top, right? I want to see you outwit people. What I would like to see is I want to see these bigger groups voting together. So I don't want those 3 tribes. I want to see 2, because I haven't seen this in so long. Love the split vote. And we have to be aware of who's got what and what they're doing and where do we put our votes and how do we make this work. I love that strategy. I want to know. I want to see them trying to figure that out. And I'm not getting that from the new era much. And I really miss it. I watch old seasons. Like, I met Denise a couple weeks ago in March, and I was like, I got to go watch her season again. And I got to see how they do this. And I want to see how she manipulates people and all these, like when she did that double, that thing on to Sandra, Sandra's one of my favorites. And she was there when I met her too. But just seeing like how she double crossed her and she did these strategy like that, just is that's top of my list on what I want to see. So don't give me the twists. I want to see how they can just manipulate and do things and eat the last of the sugar and burn the hats and do all the things. I love that. We have 2 minutes left. We have to get to who's going home next week. And I'm starting with you, Alex.
I think it is. I don't want to say Camilla. I'm going to say Mitch. Mitch is going to go.
All right. Mike, who do you think?
As much as he's entertaining, I think David. I think if David goes next, I think it really just throws everything off. It makes new factions and the all that happen. So I think David needs to go next.
Brandon?
So 45 minutes of the episode, it's David. David's going home, but then he wins immunity. And there might be an idol play, but because David goes home, he's been pushing Mary. He's been strong. Mary, unfortunately, goes home.
Yep. And we got a lot from the audience. Everyone, both Daryl and Max are saying it's going to be David or Mary. That two are just not going to be doing well. I think really what he said was, I want to make Mary feel good, was going to be the downfall of him. But here's what I think happens. I'm going to go out on the limb, and I think Kyle goes home.
Stop trying to kick my guy out.
Sorry. I think Kyle might be in trouble. I think he's going to start pushing agendas, and he's starting to work on that thing with Joe, but I think it's going to get in the way. And I just feel like Kyle's not in a great position right now. If David wins immunity, I really worry about Kyle. So that's my choice. Hey, What a blast hanging out. Great group of people hanging out. We're live every Friday morning. Please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see you. This is the year of the season of the fans. We bring fans, the super fans like Mike and everyone we've had this season come on the show and hang out with us. So we love having you guys. We just want to support because we're all fans. That's how we started this show. So thanks a lot for everybody being here, and we will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.